as a group and your individual experience, maybe you'll be able to tell someone, hey, are you aware that adult day programs exist, and they're a great middle ground between someone being able to live at home independently and in residential care. Some of you, I know, Jennifer has been, and some of the rest of you that are in the senior sector, when you think of the word, or when you heard that someone from an adult day program was going to speak today, what was your first thought about what an adult day center might look like?
Respite.
Respite, okay. I'm also talking about the physical of what you would see when you walked into an adult day program.
That they'd be doing activities.
Okay. Community. Checkers. We play lots of games and we have lots of different rules for them. King meat takes on a whole nother aspect.
I picture them being very engaged.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe y'all are a little bit different group, because for the most part, when I say this, most people think it's going to be a sad place. Most people think it's going to be a concrete block building painted some shade of government green, gray, or blue, with people sitting in wheelchairs drooling. And nothing, those of you who had other ideas, nothing could be farther from the truth. We are an engaging place, and at least at our facility, where people enjoy their days. But as I said, we're all the same, but we're all different. There are places that are just custodial care, and they very well may have a large screen television and a couple of semicircle rows of recliners and people sitting. They're probably kept clean, probably taken to the restroom on a regular basis. They're fed well, and they're safe. But is that a quality program? And the answer to that is no. Some of us have a combination program. We do not, but some have a program for young adults who have aged out of the school system special ed programs and need a place to be, both with cognitive and physical disabilities. Most, I would think, adult day programs either have that model or have one that, as we do, that have middle-aged and older adults who have some form of memory loss. We also at Page Robbins accept those without any form of memory loss, but those who would be isolated and at risk of being at home alone by themselves during the day. Some adult day programs are in long-term care communities, and if I had a long-term care community, I would absolutely have an adult day program somewhere associated with it. Some are open 7 days a week, primarily those that are in residential communities. Some are open 8 to 5. Some are open 7 to 6 to be able to accommodate the typical work schedule of someone. And some are just considered respite programs and may be open 3 days a week from 10 to 2, that just gives a little break for the family. Most are licensed by the Department of Human Services. Some serve 4 people or less, and they don't have to be licensed. But if someone's serving 4 or more and they are not licensed, I'd encourage you to call the Department of Human Services and let them know that. Currently, the state of Tennessee does not differentiate between medical model care and social model care. Everyone in the state of Tennessee is considered a social model. We are very similar to a medical model in that we do employ a registered nurse 40 hours a week. We are not required, no adult day program is required to have a registered nurse or an LPN, but we have one. We believe that that's there. We have great mission statement and guiding principles, but I drill that down for when I'm doing new employee orientation or interviewing, or when I'm talking to a group. We can take all of the fancy words that we have and drill it down to 3 things. I want every person that enters our building to feel as loved, or cared for as a non-family member can love or care for them. And we're not afraid to use the word love. We think it's important to make sure people know that. We want people to be safe. We are a secure facility because some people with dementia tend to wander and are an elopement risk. We want to make sure that the floors are swept, that there's no English peas on the floor for somebody to do that. And I cannot see what that says. Are you videoing?
I was getting some information.
Great, that's fine. I just thought that you might be sending me a message of
No, ma'am.
what time it was, sorry. Because I thought, I can't see that. So we want everyone to be safe. The third is everyone must feel and be competent and productive. And that, I can share a story with you that we had a gentleman who was in our art class. And we were not being effusive with praise, but we were praising because his artwork was amazing. And we were telling him that and telling him how talented he was and how glad we were that he was here. And he looked at me and said, I wish you'd tell my wife that. She doesn't think I can do anything right. And unfortunately, most people with dementia, the family members are overwhelmed. And even if there were things that they could do, like set the table, family members sometimes will say, oh no, you put the fork in the wrong place, or you didn't get the napkins out, or where are the glasses, or no, you can't help cut the biscuits out or put them in the pan. Let me do that. You just sit right here and we'll talk. When they very well could be providing an engaging activity for those individuals. Sorry. I should have done like I do my choir music and folded the corners. A strong adult day program has several components. One of the ones that we believe is one of the most important is to have a clean, bright, inviting facility. But if you have a clean, bright, and inviting facility and poor employees, then you got nothing.
Right.
You got nothing. So you have to employ incredible people who either have experience with dementia care or those who have the ability to be coachable. And I'm very proud of the fact that we have strong longevity among our team. That is to not have any employee turnover. For those of you in the senior sector, you know that that's almost unheard of. And we are very proud of that. The one aspect that I believe really sets us apart is how we assess our new participants and how we work with the families through that assessment. Because if we know that they played Santa Claus for 28 years, if we know that, then we're going to know that that is a key component of their personality. And we're going to find ways for that person to be able to pass out fun things throughout the time, or for us to make sure that we use that individual for Santa at our Christmas parties, that sort of thing. We want to know if they like 60s music, but we want to know more. Is that the Beatles? Is it the Rolling Stones? Who do they really like? So we'll know how to make a music playlist for them. We also get a really a good physical health screening, so that should they have to be transported to the hospital, we can provide that to the paramedics, and they'll know exactly what medications they're on, and so on and so forth. Other than making great hires, the assessment that our social worker and program director does is the most important aspect of our work. We serve wonderful meals. We have a chef that provides those meals for us, but some centers don't, and that's okay. And if the family's going to bring their food in, it's going to have to be, the center's going to have to make sure it's stored safely and then served safely as well. Food safety is the most important part of preparing meals, even though we want them to look pretty and so on. Good safety measures are important. Many of these individuals would not be able to understand and know that it was a fire drill or that the alarm was going off. We had one person who was so incredibly deaf, they could not hear the fire alarm, which is teeth jarring for most of us, but they did not know the alarm was ringing, which is a problem if they're living at home alone. We use codes on our name badges. We've got a W for wheelchair, or a walker picture for a walker. If they're a do not resuscitate, they have heart on their name badge, so we'll know that immediately. If they can't have sugar, there's sugar cubes on their name badge, so we won't do that. We are able to assist our participants with taking medications. The families make up little dose packs, if you will, and so we can provide that. We cannot administer medications, and those in the medical sector would know the difference between that. The only medicines we can administer are those with like over-the-counter meds that they've told us. We can make that decision to do that, but other medications have to be done in the dose pack. And we believe that all employees in a senior facility should be trained in CPR, first aid, and the use of an AED. And strong programming and engagement. You will see things, a variety of things for different levels of cognition and communication, and ongoing staff training is important. We communicate with families in lots of ways, and you all can benefit individually, or family or friends that you know can benefit from our e-newsletter that goes out on the first day of every month. You can register for that. We don't send you stuff all the time, but this newsletter always comes with a blog post so that you can learn maybe something new that you did not know. Our website is also available to anyone to be able to utilize, and it's an incredible website. Got a great team that put it together, but it's searchable, so that if your loved one is having trouble dressing, you can type in dressing each morning or dressing, and it will give you all the blog posts we've ever written about that. Or travel for someone, traveling with someone with dementia, because that's a whole different thing. Make sure your doctor gives you a letter to show to the TSA so they're not pulled out, that sort of thing. So there's great blog posts on there. We have a strong Instagram and Facebook presence. We'd love for you to follow us. And our caregiver support is offered at no charge, and you don't even have to use Paige Robbins. We've got a lot of long-distance caregivers whose family members live in New York or something, but they still participate in our support groups and educational sessions. Our training and some of the things that would be great for us to find would include what some of the causes of dementia are. Dementia is not a disease. Dementia is it's an overarching umbrella term for memory loss. Many doctors will say that an individual has dementia, but it's important to really try to find what the actual diagnosis is, because there's some ways that people are treated differently and so on. You may not know that many adult day programs provide personal care. We have a side entry whirlpool tub. We have a seated or standing shower. We have a hair basin where we can do a home style hairdo. We can shave the gentleman. If they have soiled themselves, we do that at no charge. But if the family wants us to bathe someone 3 times a week, there is a charge for that. Bathing is one of the hardest times for families. And there are many causes of that. Sometimes it's a safety factor of trying to get them into a bathtub in a house that was built in the 50s that doesn't have a walk-in shower. Sometimes it's that as Alzheimer's progresses, the skin is our largest organ and it is super sensitive. So I want my shower to be as hot as I can stand it and as hard as I can stand it. But someone with Alzheimer's disease needs that to be on that very light shower, rain shower kind of setting, and it does not need to be extremely hot or extremely cold. Many times people are living in another era in their mind, and this is particularly true with spouses. If a husband tries to help his wife disrobe, she may fight him on that. You can't see me. Why are you undressing me? Because she may see herself as a 30-year-old woman, and this is a 60-year-old man, 70-year-old man trying to undress her, who actually may look like her father-in-law. How weird would that be? And so families don't understand that, and it gets to be a real problem. And somebody may need something as simple as a cover-up to put on before they get in the bath or the shower. We do things differently. I have colleagues in other parts of the country that tell me I'm doing it wrong, but we like the way we do it. We have different levels of care, minimum, moderate, and maximum, because we think it's appropriate for people to pay for the level of care that they need. If we have someone that can feed themselves, that can toilet themselves, that can walk throughout the room without much issue, they don't take any medications, they don't wear disposable undergarments, they should have a lower fee than someone that must take Parkinson's medications that we have to set a timer because we only have a 15-minute window for those. Someone whose food must be chopped or pureed, someone who is incontinent of bowel and bladder, that person needs to pay more. But we also subdivide our groups, not to paint all men with a broad brush, but about 15 years ago, a group of men said, do we have to have women sitting at the breakfast table with us? Can we not just have a coffee club like at McDonald's or Chick-fil-A? Okay, we'll give that a shot. And then after a few weeks, they said, we really like this. Can we just do art as the guys? Can we just do golf as the guys? No women. So we did that. So we divide our participants currently into 5 groups, 2 groups of men, 3 groups of ladies, and then those are subdivided by cognitive ability and communication ability, because we want people to feel competent and productive. And someone who has lower cognition and lower communication skills is not going to understand the instructions of our pottery instructor like someone that is very high functioning. And so we don't want them mixed in those groups so that they can hear. Bingo, for instance, is a very hard game to play, because by the time you remember B and you find B on the card, you've forgotten what the number was if you're low functioning. And so for lower functioning people, we play Jingo, which is just pictures. You have to look for the Christmas tree or the candy cane or the whatever at Christmas time. We also have a game that one of our team members made up called Egg Carton Bingo, and it's got little plastic eggs we got at Walmart, and they've got numbers on them, and it's got egg cartons, half a dozen egg holes in the egg cartons that are painted with those numbers there, and that way people are only looking for the number 12. Most programs have everybody in the same group, and we just don't think that works very well. So who pays for this? Adult Day is a strong savings. Those of you who are trying to help people manage money or whatever, it is the least expensive of all the different care choices. We subsidize everyone's fees by about 50%. It costs me about $160 per person per day to provide the level of care that we do. We charge on average $88 a day. That means if you back out the meals, which are like Perkins senior meals, that means people are paying, because we're open 11 hours a day, $6.50 an hour for care. There's not a teenager in Collierville that would babysit a first grader for $6.50 an hour. And so we're far more than sitters, but that's kind of what the daily rates are. Some insurances will pay for that. We do not currently take the Choices program, which is the Medicaid reimbursement, but we do have financial aid if people want to apply. Some people say that adult day programs are the cultural cure. We have individuals who are in age from 43 to 98, and everything is very different among those age groups. But if we can find the things that they enjoy and help them feel competent, help them feel safe in an engaging environment, then we've hit a home run. We know that the cure is not something that can be purchased in a pharmacy. There are no cures for Alzheimer's disease or Parkinson's or any of those long-term debilitating illnesses. But there are ways to make life better for the individuals with those diseases and for their families. It's hard to see your loved one no longer be able to do the things that they once could, but we don't know that. We don't know that they made the best coconut cake in the world. We don't know that they have written a life history or have done all the research, but the family members know that. But we can accept them for where they are today and know that what they're doing today is making their day the very best day ever. So there's my story. I don't know whether you learned anything about Adult Day, but I think there's some time maybe for a few questions. Am I correct?
Yeah. Time for a new question?
Yeah.
I think we have, well, we've got a couple minutes.
Okay.
Where does that funding come from that you offset?
We raise about $750,000 annually through fundraisers, through grants, through generous organizations, individuals, congregations. So it's a lot of money that we have to raise annually to do that. Other questions?
Herbie, you serve our community well. Thank you.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it. We love what we do. And the day I was hired as the director of Paige Robbins was the happiest day of my professional life. And it continues to be that. So, other questions? Yes.
So there's various times, of the week, how many times a week places are open and how many hours a day. Do daycare places typically require some type of commitment of number of days or a number
Most
of hours?
do, and
Okay.
we do.
Okay.
We require that people come 2 days a week. And that's because the family caregiver needs to know when they can go to the doctor or when they can go to a Bible study or go play golf or whatever. So we want them to have those consistent days that they can do that. We know now through research about cortisol levels that caregiver stress levels through cortisol dip, not just slide. There's a precipitous drop in cortisol the day that they bring their loved one to an adult day program, and it stays low for the second day, and then it begins to creep up, and then the next time they bring them, it drops again. So caregiver stress is that part. But it's also, these are not children, and I don't want you to think that we treat them like children, but if you've ever dropped a child off at a church nursery, or the first day at kindergarten, first few days at kindergarten, there were tears, there were grabbing, they did not want to leave. Sometimes that separation anxiety is the same, maybe even greater for someone. So there are some, though, that are drop-in. I don't know how they operate, but there are some. One more.
Yeah, one last comment. I have referred people to you because I know y'all are the best daycare
Thank you.
in the area, and I have a client there now, and I'm grateful for all that y'all do for them and for his daughter. I also wanted you to mention the caregivers conference that you have coming.
Yes, I've actually brought some things with me. Thank you very much. And I've got some brochures about Paige Robbins and my business card. But we are bringing a caregiver conference. It will be on Tuesday, July 23rd, hosted at Temple, Israel. We are bringing in Adria Thompson, who's a TikTok dementia star, and she's going to be talking, and then we'll bring Dr. Sonal Mayer, who's one of the few geriatric physicians in town, Lynn Doyle with Unity Psychiatric Care Hospital, and then Tanya Wales, who's with Baptist Trinity Hospice Program. It's gonna be a great day. There is no charge for family caregivers, but we do need you to register because we're having breakfast and lunch, and need to know about seating. Professionals, there's a $25 per person charge, so, but I'll have these are up here if you want to grab one or grab one of these. And I'll hang around for a while, some of you may have other questions.
Joe, I just wanted to say that I know Herbie, and of course, she has a beautiful voice, she does sing